signing payroll.
Fourth administrator. Almost anything otherwise.
That she was
Amory is
invited to
driving
go on the,
Honda
and she's sure
CVR.
that she's
I'm not gonna, my mind is somewhere else.
Okay, I call this meeting of the Monomoy Regional School Committee to order at 6:39. And the first item of business is the approval of the meeting minutes. Are there any corrections? Okay, can I have a motion then?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
I would move that we accept the minutes as read.
Joe, did you say something?
I was looking for an opportunity to second it if
Oh,
needed.
I'm sorry, I missed. Okay. Okay, all approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, one abstain. Public comment? All right, and I understand we have a student representative tonight? Okay, welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Caroline Davik and I'm a senior here and I'm the student representative for the school committee for the high school. A lot has happened in the 3 short weeks since MRHS opened for its 5th first day of school on September 4th. Our first school-wide event was the annual summer reading book groups. On September 13th, students met in groups to discuss the book they chose to read over the summer. Each group was led by a teacher, staff member, or community member, and everyone was able to enjoy a relaxed book club style chat rather than having to take a test or write a paper on their book. On Friday, September 14th, Ms. Costello and Mr. and Mrs. Doyle took a group of 14 students to the Boston Ballet where they saw Genius at Play. The following Monday was curriculum night. Parents had the opportunity to visit the school and follow their students' schedule for the evening. They spent 10 minutes in each class, met their children's teachers, and heard a bit about what they will be learning this year. On September 20th, a new sign was installed at the corner of Oak Street and Queen Anne Road, directing traffic towards Monomoy High. Thank you to the Rotary Club of Chatham, the Rotary Club of Harwich Dennis, Monomoy Interact Club, MRHS Public Relations Committee, MRSD Facilities Director Rick Travers, and MRSD Lead Custodian Cliff Steinruck for your help with the creation and installation of our new sign. The following day, the annual club fair took place during Jossam Hour. Students had the opportunity to sign up for 26 different clubs, including Art Club, Spirit Club, Student Council, Stand, Best Buddies, and STEMinists. Each club was well represented by officers, current members, and advisors. That night, Spirit Club hosted their first Bring Your Own Chair movie night in the courtyard. Students and families sat outside under the stars, watched Jumanji, and ate popcorn. On Saturday, September 22nd, two groups of about 15 total Monomoy students participated in the 9th annual Big Fix Harwich. Hosted by the Housing Assistance Corporation of Cape Cod, volunteers helped rake, edge, weed, clean out gutters, and spread mulch in the yards of several community members. They then got to enjoy lunch together back at the school when they were done. This past Monday, U.S. History teacher Mr. Houston took 7 students who scored a 4 or 5 on the AP U.S. History exam on the annual James Otis field trip. The students explored Boston, stopping at several historic and governmental landmarks, such as the Boston Massacre site and the State House, before attending the James Otis lecture in Faneuil Hall. There have also been several notable victories on the sports fields. Field hockey had a big 5-0 win against Sturgis East and wins against both islands. Girls soccer beat DY with an impressive 6-0 shutout and also defeated the Vineyard and Cape Tech. Boys soccer had a shutout against Sturgis West and took victories against Cape Tech and Rising Tide too. Both girls and boys cross country had their first victories of the season last Thursday against Pope John Paul. Football defeated Cape Tech with a definitive 30-12 victory in their home opener. And on September 9th, student athletes got to march in the hometown parade. All fall teams were very well represented by their captains and teammates.
All right. Wow. Yes. Jeff.
Hey, welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Good job. You've got very large shoes to fill from
Yes.
Gracie leaving to go south. A couple of questions. I was intrigued with this courtyard movie idea on a Friday evening, what it was. Walk me through that. Is there a screen out there, or the kids came? Is the courtyard right here?
No, the courtyard's out here.
Oh, the interior courtyard,
Yeah.
yeah?
I think they put up a screen and had like a projector with a computer and projected it onto the screen. And
Yep.
people got to bring their own chairs and like blankets, and I think the Chatham Orpheum supplied the popcorn.
Terrific, terrific. Summer reading, what did you read this past summer?
I read The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah. In that reading group, the second or third day of school, gathered together with the common kids who read that particular book.
Yeah,
and
all
then
the students
did
that
a
read that particular
advisor.
book got together and discussed the book with a teacher.
Yeah, great. Welcome aboard, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, recognitions, Dr. Carpenter.
Well, my thunder's been taken since we've already talked about the Harwich Big Fix and our students' involvement in that. I'd really like to thank all the students that were involved in this that endeavor this past weekend.
Okay. Anything else?
That would be it.
I have a question. Regarding the Big Fix, do our students have to do any hours of community service?
At present, there's not a community service requirement, and I think that that might be something that comes up in this weekend's conversation
Okay.
on where do we go from here
Okay, thank
in
you.
terms of strategic planning.
Strategic plan focus group follow-up?
So I emailed the committee a little earlier today, but we have at the moment, I think, about 90 some odd people that we're anticipating coming to the event in terms of people that have responded back saying that they will be there, and it's possible we'll get a few more. So we initially thought we were going to be having the forum here in the library where it's a little more intimate, and soon realized that we had more people than the library's capacity to hold, so we will be holding it in the cafeteria, but rolling out the tables and bringing in round tables with chairs and backs, and with regular chairs, so that people can be comfortable for the day. We are having it catered by a combination of the Mason Jar and Chatham Fish and Lobster for some lobster rolls. So we'll have good food.
Yes.
So we'll have good food for those who who are dedicating their or a good portion of their Saturday to provide us feedback. We've got a nice mix of administrators, teachers, students, parents, community partners. We kind of anticipate the way the day will play out is myself. Well, first of all, our chair will welcome everyone, and then I and the principals will just spend some time reflecting on the past few years. In fact, I think thematically the thing that I'd like to focus on is the very first conversations I had when I came here now 6 years ago, that were, I used to go into community events that first year talking about the promise of Monomoy, because at the time it was still Harwich High School and Harwich Middle School and Chatham High School and Chatham Middle School, and the conversations were about, what are the things that could happen, when we pull this all together, and talked about, expanded opportunities, improved curriculum and outcomes for kids, and doing it in a fiscally mindful way that the end product should be less expensive to our towns than if they were trying to run the schools separately. And so we'll reflect back on that, and really reflect, have each one of the principals focus on what's going well and where they think the future should be going for their buildings. And then we'll sort of bring it back to what we kind of have been calling sort of an audacious look out into the future. What do we really need to think about for thinking a decade out for our students, and where do we need to start heading? After we break for lunch, we'll focus on I think what in a lot of organizational terms they would call a SWOT analysis, which stands for, we'll look at 4 questions. What are the strengths that we see, or that the group sees for Monomoy? What are the weaknesses or areas of improvement? What are those opportunities that we see in front of us, and what sort of threats might there be to achieving those things, those opportunities for improvement? So we'll do that in small group setup so that everybody will get a chance to speak. So it'll be groups of 8, and each one of those groups will report back in the whole, and we'll go collect and take all of the notes from all of those. For those members of the school committee that are going to be there, I know the event is 10 to 3, but I need you there at 9:30 because I'm putting each of you to work. So we, including the chair. No, you won't be setting up the chairs though. So that'll be the day, and I think it'll be a nice chance. I'm really looking forward to hearing from all of those people. We have everyone from selectmen to police chiefs and firefighters to business owners. And it's, looking back on the list of who's coming, many of those people wear 2 hats, like myself, both the superintendent and a parent here. And so I think we have a lot of different perspectives that will be coming to the forum.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
question, Scott, and I realize the timing minus lunch. Would it be possible to have some of our student technicians film this episode?
We are having it filmed. I think that there are parts of it that might not be very amenable to broadcast. You can imagine when you've got a room full of people that are, sort of 13 tables of 8 sitting around talking. That's probably not the most engaging to film. But I've talked with Mr. Cass, our video teacher, and he'll have someone film it, and then he will go back in and edit what makes sense for us to kind of sort of video archive what happened that day and broadcast out. But I think the presentations that I'll make and that the principals would make, and I think some of the sort of conversations as people wrap things together, I think would make sense to broadcast.
Could we videotape each of the groups reporting out their, whatever the group does, reporting out to, then they'd get an idea at least.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, moving on then, new structure for reporting technology expenditures.
Hi, everyone. Katie Isarnio, Business Manager. If you recall, in FY18, the Department of Ed spent some time revamping the chart of accounts for professional development, and we also created a fund code for long-term subs and regular day-to-day subs. All of those took place in the 2000s, so it didn't make any overall change to the budget. Well, in FY19, the Department of Ed has kind of fine-tuned how they want us to report technology and how we should be reporting technology. So we've had to move some of the expenditures from the 1000s into the 4000s, which will, I think, require us to revote the budget because it dramatically changes the look of the cost centers that we voted on in March. So I have so what we have on the screen is the column that shows where we voted the budget on March 8th. And due to the changes and the fine-tuning of the chart of accounts, it resulted in the cost centers that we approved the budget to be shifted. Overall, the budget's the exact same amount, but you'll see the biggest changes. We had things that were in the 1000s, which were district-wide, technology like the techs and some of the contract services. They've been reconfigured now into the 4000s. And if you recall, that's the third set of numbers when we approve the budget and everything, that we look at the Department of Ed's function code, which we have to set up our chart of accounts. So what I'm requesting, please, if somebody could make a motion and we would revote and reading each of the, the 1000 wages, the 1000 district leadership with those numbers, and then we could put into record that we've revoted the cost centers going forward.
I understood the 1000 was the district number. What is the 4000 number?
Technology and maintenance.
Oh, just technology.
But some of the positions we had in the 1000s, but they've redefined the position in the 4000s.
Okay. Thank you. Right here.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
I would like to move to revote our FY19 budget as follows. 1,000 for district leadership and administration salaries and wages, the amount of $688,653. District, another 1,000 is leadership and administration expenses, $410,069. 2,000 instruction salaries and wages, $18,362,064. 2,000 instruction expenses, $944,610. 3,000 other school services, salaries and wages, $820,956. 3,000 other school services expenses, $1,801,093. 4,000 operations and maintenance salaries and wages for $1,471,297. 4,000 operations and maintenance expenses for $1,849,369. 5,000 for fixed charges for $7,471,900. Don't try to look ahead or you forget where you're reading. 9,000 programs with other school districts for $3,299,567 for a total operating budget of $37,119,578. 7,000 capital stabilization for $355,000. 8,000 debt retirement and service for $2,233,776 for a total capital stabilization debt part of $2,588,776 for a total FY19 budget of the exact same amount as before, $39,708,354.
I would second that.
Thank you for reading on that. All those in
Lexi's
favor?
nightmare. Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, superintendent's goals.
So I met with the superintendent evaluation subcommittee, and we talked about my superintendent goals for this school year. The way the evaluation system works is there are professional practice goals, there are student learning goals, and district improvement goals. So the professional practice goals that we spoke about were to expand community outreach through a monthly newsletter blog posting. So it would be me writing each month and as part of a blog. So I think you all have seen at least September's installment where I was sort of laying the stage for a strategic plan for the year. The second is to engage in learning walks with new administrators and the athletic director with a focus on supporting their growth in providing feedback on instruction to improve teaching and learning. And this would be myself and in particular working with our director of curriculum to get in the classrooms with our new Harwich Elementary School assistant principal, our new assistant principal at the high school, and our athletic director, who will be getting in and looking at and observing teachers from kindergarten, from elementary up through high school in the wellness, the gym and health classes. In terms of the scroll this down. In terms of the student learning goals, I spoke with the group about delving into the MAP testing tool and data firsthand to personally understand what's working within our ELA and math curricula and what needs improvement, which would involve a thorough review of the data that we have for MAP over the last years, really to look at what are those, what I refer to as our beacons of excellence in the district. Where are we seeing really great examples consistently of growth, and how can we use those examples to model in-house best practice? And then on the other side of this is review with building level administrators where growth is consistently less than 50%, and that's something where we look at certain expectation of 1 year's growth in 1 year. So a growth that's consistently less than 50% is less than having a child's sort of academic growth be 1 year's worth of growth in 1 year, and support the building level administrators in developing improvement plans so that we see better student outcomes. And one of the things that on at least our first walk through classrooms with Mark Smith and I, we were talking about one teacher who we saw who really had some exceptional practices going on in that classroom, and how it might be nice to see see those videoed as examples of how we could do. In this case, it was a way the teacher was having leading a class discussion from a student-centered perspective. There are 2 district improvement goals that we discussed. The first one, which is sort of, I'd say maybe the most important one, is working with the school committee, the administrative team, and ultimately a steering committee to develop a strategic plan to guide the district in its focus over the next 3 to 5 years. We started the process this summer with the administrators really sort of reviewing what's gone well, where do we need to improve, and areas where we see areas that we can leverage improvement. But also we've got the community forum coming up, and then creating a steering committee to ultimately draft a plan. So we really see the timeline on this is pretty tight, that we're looking at October to November is where I see the work of this steering committee, and ideally bringing a plan back to this body in November. The last goal that we discussed was leaving off on where we kind of ended this past year, which is to support district families in collaborating with community partners to expand early childhood options. And this is to engage Cape Cod Child Development in the possibilities of some sort of full day, full year preschool options for families, and if we're unable to partner with them, to look for other partners that we might be able to take advantage of free classroom spaces that we know we're going to have in our elementary schools to better support the families that we have, and ultimately to have children, particularly children from families with need, more kindergarten ready when they enter our doors. And I also fully know that after this meeting we'll be sort of going into a workshop to have the school committee start discussing where their goals may be, so some of these may need to go and get morphed depending on where this body wants to see its work over the next year.
Thank you.
Donna?
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Yes,
No? Could we have, send us a copy of that?
Sure.
It was too small for me to read up there, but it would be great, because we'll be voting on this or discussing it more next time, right? Thank you.
No, not tonight.
Next time,
Yes,
thank you.
because the committee will have met with their goals. Okay, Lisa.
Madam Chair, just a thought, not direct goals towards Scott. The thought struck me when you were alluding, Scott, to the map process. I wonder, and it's probably already planned on, whether it's in curriculum night is upon us, so maybe that's too late. Whether or not the schools that have launched it, elementary through middle, and I know we're looking into the high school, whether or not the curriculum people could create an evening where it would be like a parent university, where now it would be devoted to one of the staff members, or Mark and the whatever, to give a real elementary, simplistic, direct instruction to the mothers and dads who can make it out here, be it 10 or 30, regarding that tool, because I think it is so valuable, and the more I hear about it, it's the the most cutting-edge way to shepherd our kids academically that I think mothers and fathers, despite how busy we all are, would like to be able to be cognizant about that.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. We have done forums like that in the past, but I think tangentially related. MAP is one assessment, but there's also MCAS data that technically today it has become unembargoed, so that anybody could go on to DESE's website and see what our MCAS scores are. My intention, I've mentioned this to the chair, is to have at our next school committee meeting, we'll do a presentation of the district's MCAS data for this year that today is becoming publicly accessible, and discuss that. But it might be good, and I'll kind of work with Mark and the principals on putting together a forum that where parents could understand the MAP data that they have. So we could give parents a copy of their child's last MAP score, but also we will get in the mail in the next few days a printout for every child that took MCAS. So we could give the families both of those and have sort of an evening to help them understand these two bits of information that are telling, ideally telling very similar stories about their child's needs and how we can support them, but they're in very different formats. So I think it would be helpful. I think it's a good point.
Just to piggyback on Terry's idea, I think that's a great idea, and to make it more accessible, maybe do a presentation of an anonymous child for video recording, and that could be on the Channel 22 loop for parents that couldn't attend.
Yeah, I like that. And I believe it could be whited out and just have a real kids.
Well, I think they usually provide an example.
And that would be fine. That would be fine too. But I really like that idea, because there are a lot of people that could do a YouTube, but to be here whenever it is presented is very difficult.
All right. Lease agreement? Encore. Oops.
If you recall, I think it was, I don't know if it was the last school committee or the one before that, I brought up the need for us to modify the lease agreement that we have with the two towns. And what I sent to all of you, excuse me. I sent the red line version that the attorney put together for us. And the bottom line is when the lease agreement was signed originally when we became Monomoy, it indicated that we would get insurance for the buildings, and and we would pay for the insurance for the buildings. But in reality, the town of Howard and the town of Chatham, they insure their owned buildings, Howard Elementary School, and in Chatham Elementary, and Monomoy Regional Middle School. And then they invoice us for the cost of the insurance. We insure this building, so it's not applicable to this particular building. But the lease agreement indicated that we would get the insurance, and our insurance company, when we had the roof damage over at the middle school, everything was fine, but they just felt that the language in the lease should reflect what's the actual practice. That's always been in place since we've been Monomoy. So there is a redlined, excuse me. So it's taking out the property insurance that that we will be getting the insurance, and then inserted is that the towns will be getting the insurance and that we will be paying them as the practice is. So the question I have is, when the leases were originally signed, they were signed by the chair of the school committee and then the chairs of the board of selectmen in each town. So, I thought perhaps everyone could take the time to look over these. We could vote it at the next meeting, but I was just looking for some guidance in terms of the process by which you would like us to communicate this message to the two towns.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
is this, Katie, is this as part of the original agreement?
No, it's not part of it's part of the lease, which is a
Part of the
separate.
lease agreement, okay.
So we have a lease
It looks
with.
a lot like the regional agreement.
Completely,
which
yes.
Kind of
Yeah.
confusing me with the parents. Okay.
Exactly, but it's the lease that we have that we, basically outlines that,
For insurance purposes.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So I just don't know whether we need to present it to the Board of Selectmen, if we just, that's what, I just don't know that piece of it. I wasn't here when the original leases, what the process was. It might have been a little more involved because there was multiple pages of this. But it's very clear in terms of, it's just reflecting the practice that's in place.
So do we do anything? Do we go forward to the selectmen about this?
So we have in both cases, meetings coming up here, budget related in the
Yeah.
next few weeks. So we can just have a conversation with the town managers and incorporate that into the conversations we're having with each select board.
All right.
I would agree, I'm sorry.
And then the final lease, the amended lease, this section would require the chair of the school committee and the chair of each Board of Selectmen signatures on the amended lease.
Okay. Okay.
So if anyone has any questions on it, certainly reach out to the superintendent if there's anything that's jumping out on the red line copy that isn't making sense.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any subcommittee reports? Okay. Superintendent's report?
I would say my report was largely that the conversation about the strategic planning focus group, which has been the big focus for my office and Joy Jordan over the last week. So we have a lot of information that we are going to try to briefly provide to people on the front end, and just look forward to listening to what all these different individuals who have responded have to say, and where they think the schools should be heading.
Okay. Thank you. The next thing then is, we need to approve a prior year invoice of $360, and I believe that's in the packet. We have a motion to do that?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the prior year invoice to Electronic Security and Control Systems in the amount of $360.
Joe, second?
I would like to second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then the FY budget revote.
We already did.
Oh, yeah, we did that.
I'm not reading those numbers again.
Sorry. Come on, it was such a good job. Well, then at this time, I will entertain an amendment to adjourn to workshop.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed?
And we say good night.